Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Masters of the Universe Origins Orko, the Heroic Court Magician. Alright, so this is the final figure of the third wave that I am finally getting a chance to take a look at here since the last of my Walmart pre-orders finally came in. So let's dive right in and take a look at one of the figures that I was very much anticipating. As you can see, of course, he comes on that awesome classic style card back there. Red bursting rocks, blue starry sky, original Masters of the Universe logo. I absolutely love it. And of course, you've got Orko positioned right there in the center. You can see he's got that sparkly blue base behind him, which we'll get a closer look at pretty soon, as well as his mini comic. And as we rotate this around to the back side, we are once again treated to some absolutely gorgeous box art. I love it. It's bright, it's colorful, you've got some fun stuff going on with Orko's magic going awry and dumping a bucket of water on Beastman's head, so I don't know, maybe he meant to do that, but either way, it's hilarious. I love it, and again, major shout out to everyone behind the artwork on these boxes because it has been a true highlight of the Origins lineup. Down below that, we've got the cross-sell, which is also illustrated, showing you all the figures that are shipping for this particular wave, as well as a fun little shout-out to the action features, which is really basically just showing you the articulation and the figure stand, but it's a great throwback to the original packaging from the 80s. So, again, awesome packaging. The packaging's been fantastic for this line, but let's go ahead and get Orko pulled out of this box and get a closer look at him. Alright, so we've got Orko outside of the box. Of course, the first thing I do want to mention is that he does come with that same Double Trouble mini comic that we've seen for all of the other figures in the wave, so I have shown this off in those other videos, but if this is the first one you're watching, it is worth noting that all of those figures in this particular wave come with this exact same mini comic, but it is a nice little added bonus in here. Alright, so here is our Orko action figure. Let me bring in the tape measure to show you guys that he stands, probably about 3.5 inches. If we make it so that his hat is pointing more upwards, he gets real close to the 4-inch mark, but he is under 4 inches tall. And all in all, I love the look of this guy, but the first thing that I need to point out on him, because right out of the box, I noticed how loose the head was on him. Oh boy, it really moves around there. It's not super wobbly, but you can see how it kind of leans to the side. It's a pretty loose joint, so I don't know if it's like that across the board, but mine definitely came out of the package with a bit of a loose joint there at the head. Also, the body is super lightweight because this is a hollow figure. He is just like very hollowed out, with the only solid parts being his arms and his head up here. So he is considerably lighter than the rest of the figures. Now, the reasoning for that is because he does also come packaged with this flight stand that we're going to look at more in just a bit. So as I said, he looks great. I think the overall design of this guy is really good, and interestingly, is probably one of the most Filmation Orko figures we've ever received. Everything in this line has been very much based on the vintage toy line, but Orko is one of those characters who was a Filmation character who got into the vintage line, and he's kind of so iconic as this goofy sidekick character from the cartoon that I think it does make a lot of sense for Mattel to really just kind of go with that look for the character. And he looks great. I mean, he's got very bright, vibrant colors, which when we compare this to the other Orkos, you're going to see just how bright he is. But it does kind of match the theme of Origins altogether. So very bright red on the robe. Got like this orangish color on the hat because the hat has always been a slightly different color than his robes there. You got the black face, the blue ears, the blue hands, bright yellow eyes. So all in all, he looks really great. The only little place I kind of want to nitpick is on the eyes because the paint job's not so good on mine. His left eye is slightly smaller than his right eye, and there's some paint smudging there. I don't know if that's really coming across. I'm going to try to get a good photo for you. It's not noticeable, like, at a distance. It's only when you're really looking at him there. So the only articulation that we really get is that ball joint I showed you guys at the head, which is a bit loose on mine. You can see it's separate from the scarf that kind of covers the lower portion of his head. That's actually part of the sculpt of the body, so that part is not removable there. And then the arms just have the hinge joints at the shoulders, so they can move forwards and backwards. You got the same swivels at the elbow, you've got bends at the elbow, you got swivels and hinges at the wrist. So the articulation in the arms is pretty much on par with the rest of this line, but obviously we've got no other articulation because he's just kind of like a floating robe otherwise. Also, it's interesting to note that the arms are not removable on this figure like they are with most of the other figures in this line. However, the head is still removable. It pops off of that ball joint there, and the head feels like it's made of a much softer, almost more rubbery plastic than the other heads in this line, which might be why it's a bit loose. I don't know. Maybe that's kind of contributing to why it's so loose on there. But you can pop that head off, and yes, we can actually pop this off and we can put it on the ball joint of some of the other figures. So, you know, we can do the very easy Orko head swap onto He-Man's body. So, you know, Orko can envision himself as the most powerful man in the universe. Or we can get real crazy and create this abomination right here. Watch out, Eternia, the true hero has arrived. Alright, so the only accessory that Orko comes with is this flight stand. I do appreciate that we get a flight stand. Orko is always hovering in the air, so this is great. You'll notice that the base is like this glittery, translucent, bluish purple cloud thing. And I gotta be honest, I don't understand why that's a thing with Orko. Like, why is it that Orko figures always have this bluish cloud underneath them? And I don't know why I said always, because it's really only happened one other time in the 2003 toy line, but that's not a thing. Like, Orko doesn't have a blue cloud under him when he floats. I don't know. I'm being really, really nitpicky because otherwise it's a really nice stand. You do have to assemble the arm into the base out of the package, but it does not come out once you do that. You'll see that it articulates at the base, so you can swivel it, and it's got a hinge joint. It also has a hinge joint at the top, and that plug just plugs right into the bottom of Orko. It's nice and solid, and once he's on that base there, that's going to make his overall height 6.5 inches, getting up there to 7 inches. So it does make him stand a little bit taller than your figures, which is kind of cool. Really makes it look like he could be floating in the air. And like I said, it's nice and tight on that joint. You can swivel him around. You've got the hinge joint there, which actually seems to hold really good. You can also kind of move that arm all the way around there. So yeah, I do really like that the flight stand is included. I think that's a great bonus. I'm just going to be way nitpicky and say I wish it was just a clear stand instead of the weird blue cloud, but that's me. That's just my opinion. That may not bother you at all. Like I said, I'm glad that we've got a base at all. All right, guys, it's comparison time, and I actually have a lot of figures that I want to compare them to, because we're going to start off with the vintage action figure, so you can see these two side by side. Interestingly, they're about the same size. For some reason, the new one felt like it was way bigger than the old one, but when you put them side by side, you can see they're scaled appropriately next to each other. But it's really cool seeing the big difference in the overall sculpt of the new figure. Now, I also want to put him next to that 2003 Orko figure, since I talked about the weird blue cloud base, but there you go. You can look at those two side by side. I always hated that figure was always staring at the ground. You can barely see his eyes. I also want to show him next to the Masters of the Universe Classics version of Orko, which was much smaller. That was done because Orko was, of course, a lot smaller than the main heroes in the original cartoon. So he might even be scaled a little bit better, but he's also a lot smaller than all the other Orko figures. And the last one I want to compare him to is the more recent figure from Super 7. He's a little bit bigger than the Classics one, but smaller than Origins. So it's really interesting seeing these two side by side because they came out about a year apart from each other. And looking at them all together, wow, it's crazy how much more bright this new figure is. But also, like I said, I think he's probably the most Filmation out of all the Orko releases we've ever had. So there you go, my friends. There is a look at the new Masters of the Universe Origins Orko action figure. All in all, I do really like this guy. My only nitpicks with him are really that loose joint at the head and just how hollow and light he feels. I wish he had a bit more substance to him, but I think he looks great. The colors are bright and vibrant. He's got a flying stand. So he's a really fun figure to kind of throw in there with the rest of your Origins lineup. We're really starting to get a good batch of heroes there, which is really nice to see. So like the rest of the Origins line, this is still a Walmart exclusive for the rest of 2020, but hopefully will be open to all retailers in 2021, thus being easier to find. I was able to score mine via pre-order, so fingers crossed for 2021. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and until next time.
The Toys of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe is available for pre-order now. This official guidebook is published by Dark Horse Books and features over 750 pages of photos and information on your favorite He-Man and She-Ra action figures. And don't miss out on the exclusive bundle pack available for pre-order now from PowerCon. This bundle includes the official guide as well as an exclusive character guide supplement that you won't be able to buy anywhere else. Don't miss out. You have the power.